Call to order the City of Riverbank Planning Commission meeting of Tuesday, March 21st. Beginning with a roll call.
Okay, Chair Steve Link,
Here.
Vice Chair Natasha Basso,
Here.
Commissioner John Dinan, Commissioner Joan Stewart, and Commissioner Ben Rubin. Okay.
All right, so any planning commission member or staff who has a direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare their conflict at this time. Have any conflicts? Don't have any conflicts. Okay. All right, I'll get closer to my microphone. So we just offered an opportunity if anyone had a conflict of interest on any of the agenda items to mention it now. So then there weren't any conflicts of interest to mention. Next is public comments. And at this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and with the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per person, and each person may speak once during this time. Time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. So it's just comment only. For record purposes, state your name and the city of residence and make your comments directly to the Planning Commission members from the podium here. So do we have any public comments? Please come on up.
And I live at 2884 Don Raphael Avenue. My house is right against where the new housing is coming. I understand that there's going to be some two-story houses.
Excuse me, that item is on the agenda.
Oh,
That's comment period just for people who want to comment on something that's not on the agenda. So we'll let you know when it's time, okay?
okay.
No worries.
I'm jumping on it.
Yes, thank you.
Evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Jamie Agers. I live at 7730 McHenry Avenue, Modesto. That's in the unincorporated area of Stanislaus County outside the city. I'm here to speak about Riverwalk, a proposed development that would include our property. One area of concern is that when the notice of preparation came out in June of 2021, we were not notified of the development or the proposed development, even though our property is listed in the notice of preparation. In fact, none of our neighbors were notified. Was that technically required? Probably not, because the notice of preparation is an early CEQA document. But should we have been notified if the process is truly being transparent? Yes, in my opinion. So that's very disappointing. One of the concerns is that our area is prime ag land, which is designated as such by the state of California Department of Conservation in their farmland mapping program. And this is really not an area that should be paved over by housing and commercial development. Those kinds of developed areas should be happening in areas of lesser soil qualities. So when this project comes before you, we urge you to vote no. Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Conrado. I'm here also to state my strong opposition to the proposed housing development called Riverwalk. The proposed housing development, I believe, is slated for the wrong location. You already have land approved for development on poor soil, on poor quality soil. I estimate that you have perhaps 1,000 acres, perhaps 1,200 acres that are approved and ready to be developed that I would think would take care of your housing demands. We're all aware that this river bottom land is of the highest quality, both first prime and second prime of the world. That this land is, all the land around us, the ag land is being encroached upon. The river bottom land, along with all the other agricultural land in Stanislaus County, feeds Riverbank and Modesto, the state and our nation. It's exported to the world. This is not only highly productive land, but brings healthy food and wealth to our local economy. Approving this housing development will create urban sprawl, leapfrogging, and county islands. All actions that LAFCO and the State Department don't approve of, as well as eliminating the green belt the state indicates is needed. Wildlife and riparian habitat would be destroyed. The aquifer would be depleted. We don't know how much, affecting surrounding wells that could go dry, as you've seen throughout the county. That's been happening. The infrastructure is inadequate for ambulance, fire, police, sheriff, sewer, water. All of those are areas that will have to be dealt with. How the housing, and also that it's also on a floodplain, which puts everyone in danger that lives there, as well as the property damage. And I think this is a year that you would see massive flooding in the river bottom, except that Maloney's was empty or nearly empty. And so that our Maloney's Dam has absorbed a lot of the runoff, the rainwater and the snow melt. And that will, that could not, it was just lucky that we had, 3 years of drought that made that empty. Housing never pays for itself. Housing development never pays for itself. Even with the developers paying up front fee, the residents are left to bear the cost of maintenance. And I know this is a very caring community and board, but I want you to consider very carefully the impact of this, of destroying this land. Thank you.
All right, that looks like the end of public comments. Moving on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are to be acted upon by a single action of the Planning Commission unless otherwise requested by an individual Planning Commission member or member of the public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by motion of the Planning Commission. So, item 2.1 is posting of the agenda for today's meeting. Was posted on the Community Center bulletin board, City Hall North and South bulletin boards, post office, city website, and emailed to the library on March 15th. Item 2.2 is approval of the agenda, today's agenda. This provides an opportunity for the Planning Commissioner staff to recommend that an item be placed on the agenda for discussion or adjust the proposed agenda to allow for an item to be taken out of order. And then item 2.3 is approval of our last meeting's minutes way back on December 20th, 2022. The meeting having been read by the individual planning commissioners and stands approved as submitted. I'll second Jones.
So did, right, so they broke it up. So Basso, you voted on 2.1 and 2.2?
Oh.
Your second her?
Yes, I'll second her.
Okay. Okay, and then. Okay, I'm gonna do roll call. Okay, never mind, sorry.
The roll call for just
Yeah. the
2.1 and 2.2.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Dynan, Commissioner Stewart, Commissioner Rubin, Okay, that's approved. And now we need to approve item two.
Of our last meeting in December 2022.
Okay. Okay, roll call. Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Dynan,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart has to abstain, and Commissioner Rubin. Okay. Thank you.
Right, on to item 3.1, which is the annual nomination and appointment of chair and vice chair for Planning Commission rules and procedures. The current order is Chair Link, Vice Chair Basso, Commissioners Dynan, Rubin, and Stewart. An alternate commissioner position is vacant. The new order will be Chair Basso, Vice Chair Stewart, Commissioner Dynan, Rubin, Zamora, with Link and Halterman as alternate commissioners. And we vote on that. I
Yeah,
make,
we won't vote on that, but we're just gonna let you know that we'll, starting as of our April, or actually our May meeting, that's what we'll start out as. Oh, we do, okay, we do need a motion. So go ahead and someone make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the nomination and appointment.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And roll call vote is Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart, Commissioner Dynan,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So now we are on to item 4.1, which is the annual general plan and housing element report. Presented by Donna.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Nice to see you all again. As mentioned, this is the 2022 Annual General Plan and Housing Element Report. So section 65400A2 of the Government Code requires that each jurisdiction prepare and submit a progress report each year on its general plan by April 1st. What we discuss is progress in meeting the city's regional housing need, actions taken towards completion of the general plan and housing element. And what this does is help ensure state grant funding. If we don't complete these yearly reports and we don't update our housing element every 8 years, we don't qualify for any grants from the state. So a council, after we give this presentation to you and no action is required on your part, then we'll take it to the city council next Tuesday, and they do have to approve a resolution in order for us to submit that report to the California Office of Planning and Research and the Housing and Community Development Department. Although we have to submit these reports by April 1st, it does not require approval by these state agencies. They just review it to see how we're doing and keeping up with our progress. One section of the report talks about the grants we've received and how we've used them. We had an SB2 grant that was awarded for $160,000. We contracted with JB Anderson Land Use Planning to update the city's municipal code on accessory dwelling units. We also received a $150,000 LEAP grant. That was to upgrade the city's permit processing software to streamline development projects and housing. We've been working with iWork Systems and anticipate the system being online by mid-2023. One of the hangups has been our building department fees. If they pay a fee on a building permit, it just doesn't go into one account. It gets broken into several different accounts. And so it's been kind of complicated and confusing, but I think we're just about there on that. Another portion is a progress report on the regional housing needs allocation. And so these are some of the highlights. Over the past years, the past 7 years, we've reached 10% of the very low income goal, 18% of the low income goal, and less than 1% of the moderate income goal and 54% of the above moderate income goal. Compare that with 2021, we had the 10%, the 8%, 18%, 0% for the moderate income goal, and we only had 38% of the above moderate income goal. So we were able to issue 97 building permits last year, and that's what brought our percentage up. And the majority of those homes were in Crossroads West, Countryside 1 and 2, Bruin Heights, and Elmwood Estates. So we also have to talk about in the progress report where we've made progress in our general plan policies. Land 5, the policy Land 5, we completed an ordinance amendment that updated and streamlined the administrative procedures, mostly the architectural and site design review section of our code, which was lacking. In the circulation, we also completed a bicycle and pedestrian master plan that was adopted, and that was on our as one of our goals. Under the design section, we established design standards and parking requirements for accessory dwelling units. Also in design, we completed a design of a complete street at the intersection of Callender and Santa Fe Streets. In economic development, the Parks and Recreation held their annual Riverbank Cheese and Wine Festival and the Christmas Parade. Those two items bring the most people and funding downtown. Also in economic development, we approved a 298 unit tentative map, a 114 unit tentative map, and a 91 unit or lot final map within the Crossroads West specific plan area. That was another goal, is to encourage growth there in the Crossroads West area. Under conservation, we began installing 4 solar projects for city facilities. There will be solar at the community center, the police station, Wharton Park, and Public Works. I knew there was a 4th one there. In the safety section, we finalized a contract with Ametis to develop the existing and remaining parcels out at the Riverbank ammunition plants. And under public facilities, we adopted a parks master plan. Staff was kind of busy this last year. That's all I have to share of the highlights, and I'd be happy to take any questions from you if you'd like.
On the meeting of the goals for the RHNA, are we okay with the state where we are right now? Are they threatening us in any way if we don't up those numbers?
Actually, they give us, all the cities, such large numbers, none of us tend to make our goals. I think, you know, with Crossroads West, we have a better chance than other cities to do this. But yes, to be honest, none of us make our goals. In fact, our new RENA goal is over 3,600 homes. So that's way more than the 97 permits a year that we're doing now. And I thought this year was busy.
Yes, certainly.
Had a slide up there that showed the regional housing numbers, RHNA numbers, and you quoted those, but then I think you gave current numbers that weren't shown on a slide. Could you repeat those current numbers?
Yes, those were in the staff report. And while this says 10% of very low income, last year it was 10% of very low income. Last year and this year, it's 18% of the low income goal. Last year, it was 0 for moderate, and it's less than 1% for this year. And last year, we made 38% of our goal. This year, 54%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So on to item 5.1. Architectural and site plan review for Ward Villas and McRoy Wilbur Communities Incorporated.
Yes, I don't believe that the applicant is here. He actually lives in Monterey. And when he attempted, oh, is he? Oh, hi Ian. Sorry, I didn't see you here. Okay. It was the hat. All right, so we do have the applicant here.
Excellent.
So I'll go ahead and start the presentation of 5.1. Oh, good. Mark Wilbur's on Zoom. Okay, so this is a Ward Villas Architectural and Site Plan Review. Ward Villas is just off of Ward Avenue and Roselle Avenue. It's that purplish colored section in the center there. So the project consists of 28 single-family parcels and proposed are 28 duets. Thank you. That was quick. So the actual address of the site is 2912 Ward Avenue. It stopped. Okay. So I'll talk about the agreements while they're getting this set up again. Oh, there we go. What? There we go. So the Ward Villas DA was approved by council in October of 2020. A development agreement sets in place both the city and the developer's responsibilities, not only to infrastructure, but creating a good subdivision that fits within the neighborhood. So on October 27th of 2020, Ward Villas entered into an MOU with the city to facilitate affordable housing. We were in discussions with Carrie Pope, who actually has done the infrastructure on the project. And the city was negotiating or trying to decide ways that we could help make these houses more affordable to fill a gap, a need in our community. There are quite a few houses being built now, but the majority tend to be in the $500,000 range. So we were trying to look for ways where we could get the houses back down into a lower price range. On February 28th of 2023, the council approved amendments to the MOU. When I mentioned the MOU, that was in 2020, and that's about when COVID hit and everything started falling apart. So there wasn't a lot of development going on, especially in this little subdivision. So the developer came back to the city and asked if he could amend some of the MOU so that the project could move forward. And so there were discussions on things like deferring some of the system development fees to a later date to help, with the less amount of money to come in at the beginning. And so that was approved last month on the 28th. On March 14th, the council approved the subdivision improvement agreement and the final map for Ward Villas. So really the only thing left now for the subdivision is to have the architectural and site plan design of the houses in order for them to move forward. As I mentioned, Carrie Pope has been working on the infrastructure, and as part of the final map, he was required to either have the infrastructure done or present a bond for that. But he is almost completely done with the infrastructure, so he didn't need to provide a bond. But then there is a second bond that was required in order to do a 1-year warranty on the subdivision. So if something needed to be fixed and a developer can't be found, the city can take that bond and make the repairs and improvements that needs to be made. So this is what the subdivision map looks like. Ward Avenue is to your left, and then down the center is a new street called Chavez. And the largest lot in the lower portion of the map is actually a basin, which will be landscaped and have benches and such around it. You might notice that there isn't a second exit to the subdivision because of how small the property was and the way the houses lay out. So next to the basin, just to the right, there's a skinny little lot, but that's an emergency vehicle access that fire will have access to. But it's set up to where people can walk through too. So if they want to walk through the other neighborhood and get a little exercise, they'll be able to walk through that site. This is a floor plan of the duets. It's a little hard to see, but they all have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, and they're laid out fairly comfortably. The garages are set back from the fronts of the houses. And the way a duet works is the center line of the 2 houses will sit on the lot line. And so instead of having a little house with 5-foot setbacks or 3-foot setbacks on either side of it, if you put the 2 houses together, they have a 10-foot side yard. And then the neighbor has a 10-foot side yard. So you really got 20 yards or 20 feet between the 2 houses. And that, gives a feeling of a lot more open space and room for children to play. So although it's one set of floor plans for the duet, they have 4 different elevations to make the property, make the streetscape look more varied. They use different materials, roofing materials, siding materials, windows, doors, in an effort to make things different and varied. And they also have, okay, here's the second one. This is the B elevation. You'll notice the roof is a little bit different, as well as the door and windows on the side. It's another variation of it. This one's got lap siding instead of the stucco like the previous one did. And this one has stucco. And then the windows and doors have the curved top for a little bit more curb appeal. The roof lines are also a little bit different too, to add to the variation. As far as CEQA goes, architecture and site plan review for dwelling units for an approved subdivision is not a project per CEQA guidelines, so we did not have to do a notice of exemption on this. And it is recommended that you approve the architecture and site plan review for Ward Villas for 28 single-family duet units. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we also have the applicant Ian Wilbur in the audience, and he would be available for questions as well.
I have a question. Is this set up like an HOA? Because it almost seems like they're condominiums with an adjoining roof like that. Is that handled the same way as a condo would?
Well, maybe Ian could
Uh-huh.
handle that part of it.
How do you share a roof on different lot lines?
I'm Ian Wilbur with McCoy Wilbur Communities. So although the roof, I guess, would be shared more or less depending on, the elevation it is, each owner would be responsible for their own section of that particular part. So if one person had a roof repair on their property line, they would be responsible for that. So, but yeah, it's not any planned HOA or anything like that. So each would be similar to just owning your own single family home on your own lot.
Will there be any requirements to sell them to owner occupants?
So we are, because of the grant that was received by the city, there is an income qualification that buyers must meet, and they do have to apply with the city before they can actually purchase the home. So they do have to be approved. So yeah, we are trying to avoid investors in that. So. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
So at this time, then we open up for any public comments or questions on this particular item. On it?
In here? Wait,
Can I do the
could you
ordinance?
start your name and address?
My name is Roberto Leiva. I live in 2866 Rafael. It's across from the little Buchanan Street that you're talking about, the walkway. There's no way, 28 houses will be available there. I mean, we barely have space on traffic. Middle of the night, sometimes it's double parking on the street. There's hard to see when you're trying to, go across the street because of the cars, so many cars parking. Like if the kids, they're driving their bike, we can almost run over all the time, if you can see, like when we're crossing the street. This is where you cannot see to the right side because there's a car parked next to it. The city went to the other side and, marked the street red and one park, and it's kind of blocking to park more cars. At least that help a little bit, but like I say, there's no space of parking. Like it's always, this is like when everybody at work and it's still cars there. Like, even when everybody went to work and take their own cars, there's still a lot of cars outside. I mean, if we got any visitors or something, there's no way they can park. Like I say, sometimes at night, you can see double parkings everywhere because there's no space for, having so many cars. At least each house is gonna have, 3 cars. If you have your own cars, basically they cannot park in front of your house either. When I started living there, it was difficult to get out of my house because some people was parking always on my driveway. So I had to go knock each house and find who was the owner so I can get out of my house, my own house. So I think it's too many houses for a little small property. Thank you.
Just to clarify, there will be no vehicle access from Chavez onto Don Rafael. It's an emergency vehicle access only. So only people can walk through. They will not be able to drive through.
Good evening. My name is Rosa Madrano. My property is at 2924 Ward Avenue. When they proposed to put this subdivision in there, I also came to the meeting and I told them that 28 homes to go in there with one road going in and one road going out. Each property owner would probably have 2 to 3 cars. And every morning you'd have how many cars coming out of there and how many cars coming in there when they got off work. We got kids walking on Ward Avenue to the bus stop, which is down the street. And I told them, when it's foggy, you can't see anything. As it is, the parents of these children walk them to the bus stop on a clear day and pick them up. Now, can you see 28 cars coming out of that one road, Chavez? That's dangerous. I brought that up earlier before they even started developing the property. And from a third person, I was told not to worry, Rosa, they're not going to build because they didn't think the owner at that time would be able to afford it. But since it's low income, I told her that they were going to give him money to build these houses, or he was going to get supplemented from the state. Well, they're building now, and they've got the road in, they've got utilities in, which they told me that everything was going to go underground. And then they were measuring one day, and I went out there and I asked them why they were measuring in front of my home. They said there was going to be a power pole that was going to be set in the middle of my property on Ward Avenue. When they told me there was no power poles. Well, about a week ago, I seen where they brought in 5 poles onto Chavez Road. They haven't put them up, but that was false. They also at that meeting said that they were going to take our fences down. The property owners that own the property facing Chavez's place, and they were going to take all the wooden ones off, all the wood frames off, put up wood. I says, I don't want wood because it floods there during the winter time. We get a lot of water and the water rots. I have had redwood fencing, 3 of them. And I went to the white plastic so it wouldn't rot, and I have had no problems with it. And now they want to tear it down. Well, they can tear it down, but I want a wall, a retaining wall there, because the water comes into my property because they build up the elevation of the property next door. And all that water will go under my house, which it's not on a cement slab. It's wood, and it'll ruin my floors. I've told them that. They didn't build a retaining wall, but they built a retaining wall at the end of the property down where the elevation is lower on that lady because she's made a lot of noise. She came to my house and told me about it. And I said, well, you didn't come to that forum that you had last time. So why do you come to me? You know, that's what the owners around my house, they come to my house because they know I come to these meetings, but it doesn't seem to do any good. So I don't know who she talked to, but they got a retaining wall down on the back end of that Chavez Road.
Ma'am,
No,
the subdivision was approved a couple of years ago.
yes,
Do you have any comments on the architecture of the houses, which is why we are here tonight?
on the architecture,
Architecture
don't-
of the houses?
but I have another lady that she does because she has solar. She doesn't want 2 stories because if they have 2 stories,
These are all 1 story.
oh, these, okay, so see that has changed since the last time I was here. Last time they said there were going to be 2 stories. See, and to my knowledge, there are going to be 4 properties on the side of my house. That's why I want the retaining wall plus a wall that goes up, a wooden one or a plastic one. So, because I have a swimming pool and the kids will be jumping over the fence. You know, that's my concern. You know, by law, I have to have a fence around my pool and all the doors into the property have a lock, which I have applied. But if they're going to just leave that fence at the height that is now, we're going to have kids coming through there. You know, I have insurance, but you know, if they're going to have 4 families living next door to me, you know, my insurance is going to go higher unless they put a fence up high enough, you know, because right now it's probably maybe 6 foot at the most. And now it's lower on their side because they've brought up the elevation on the property, because I told them before they even built that's the soil is, it's hard pan and it sinks. So they've been bringing in soil, taking out soil, bringing in soil because they know it sinks and they're packing it down. So when they build these homes, they won't sink like that big old building in San Francisco is gone down 12 a foot, I believe. So that's why I want that retaining wall. Right now they put those I don't know what you call them. They're like long straw things there to hold, I don't know if it's to hold the water or to hold the soil away from my property. And in front on Ward, they got those laid out at this time, and they've had them there for a couple of years. And I had another question, but I think you guys answered it about a duel. A duel means 2 people having a fight, like shooting fight, or a duel of 2 people singing. And I didn't understand what that meant, but since the gentleman said that they were going to be together, I thought, well, this is just going to be a big, you know, family that all live here and they all live in one house. You know, how are they going to tell their property owner? And if, as he mentioned, the roofs are going to be the same, you know, one property owner is going to put a new roof. It's going to be one color. And then the next neighbor is probably going to put a new roof, be another color.
I
It'd
I
be a
think we are at
patchwork.
the 5-minute limit.
I know, I'm sorry, but thank you for letting
your
us speak,
feedback.
you know, but last time it didn't seem like it did any good because they went ahead and did as they wished, which they didn't have any concern for the property owners around it, you know, but I don't care if you build, you know, but take consideration, you know, I've been there since I was 19 years old. That's when I bought that property.
I think your neighbor would like a turn up as well. It's 5 minutes time.
I know, excuse me, but you know, I've been there a
Mhm.
long time. I was born here in Riverbank. I've seen improvements and I appreciate it. I'm sorry for taking up too much of your time.
Thank you for your time.
I'm at the right time, right?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm at 284 Don Raphael Avenue. My name is Lucretia Badal. My house is the one that butts up to actually their property line. He already answered, there's gonna be single stories, but I'm good with that. That won't really affect too much my solar. But my issue is that same as this gentleman over there, people don't respect parking over there. They will park all in front of my driveway. I can leave at 2:30 in the morning to take my, grandson to work. I get out and I'm like, whose house I gotta go knock at now at 2:30 in the morning so I can get out of my driveway? And as far as like that, they're already parking in that. What is that called? A fire lane or whatever? Is that what is considered a fire lane?
Red curb is what the other gentleman mentioned there.
Well, where they got it marked, whatever, what is it marked? I forget what it's marked. Called getting old. Keep clear or whatever, but we already have people parking in there. Yeah, the clear lane. And, people have parties over there, they just line up all the way across. And they don't care if they go too deep, people next door to us, they park 3 deep because they have 6 cars just to their house. It's ridiculous. And there's, the way the street is set up, there is like, you really can't put a car between your property and another property because it's, without hanging over their driveway. There's no real parking. And then the other thing is that she's right. They're going to put 28 houses. You're going to have, every house is going to have probably two cars, which is going to be 56 cars driving up and down that street. And now if they have a kid that's driving, that's going to be 84 cars driving down a 2-lane street at 5 between, I say 2:30 and 7 when people come home from work. Same thing in the morning. We got kids that go to school every morning. Luckily the parents, escort their kids pretty much. And the kids in our neighborhood, they play outside. They don't sit inside playing their little games and stuff. They literally actually play outside. And it's going to be a mess because when they have their company or their friends over, they're going to be looking for parking up and down our street because they know they can walk through to go visit whoever's on that 28 houses they're going to be putting in. But it's really going to be a mess. And I don't know if you ever drove down Ward. It's not very wide. So you guys really need to consider what, how you guys are going to do this parking thing because it's going to be awful. And probably dangerous because you say some of the parents don't really watch their kids. They just let them play outside because, kids will be kids. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Any more public comment? Yes, sir.
Thank you. And so I just wanted to let the residents in the area know that. So when we purchased this property, these plans have already been approved and everything. And so we're kind of coming into it later in the game, but we do hear your concerns. So as the builder, we will kind of look into maybe some things that we can help to do to remedy this, to remedy the situation. So we are aware of what's going on. And so we just want to say we appreciate your concerns and we will do our best to accommodate. We can't block it off because it is an emergency access vehicle road. So That'll be, kind of up to the city on what that, what they can do there. But, so I just want to let you know that we are working and, we will try to address the concerns that we can. We will, like I said, yeah. So we do hear your concerns and we will try to address it. So like I said, but we appreciate the concerns and we will do what we can to address them. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
We need to be at the podium, otherwise it doesn't come over onto our tapes and such. So people watching at home can't hear what you're saying. Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Houses have garage. Is that a one-car garage or a two-car garage? Okay, so for example, if there's a family members, they have 2, 3 cars. Have you thought where they're gonna be planning to park those cars at? And if there's more, because as you heard from everybody else that live at Don Rafael, there's people, we got rid of one car because there was no parking at all. But we have neighbors, they own about a good 3, 4, 5 cars. We cannot have visitors because there's no parking. There's sometimes they double park, so it's very hard to go in or even when I'm getting out of my driveway, I'm super careful not to crash someone else because there's so many cars there. So imagine building those houses, if they own more than 2, 3 cars, most likely they're gonna try to get parking. Any opportunity they have at Don Rafael, they see a free space, that's exactly where they're gonna park. What is your solution for that? Or is it just, we sell the houses and we're done? Okay, so since it's the city too, we have brought this more than once over the parking and we haven't got any results. Nobody has come back to us and let us know what can we do. Because we cannot go knocking door by door and ask our neighbors to sell their cars or to get rid of them. So as the city, what do you recommend? Because we have brought this up too. It's impossible for kids to play outside.
I would be happy to give you my business card so we could talk about this, because the parking and the subdivision, the streets and such have already been approved. What we're here tonight for is the architecture of the houses. So that's kind of a separate conversation, and I would be
Not
happy
because we're
to
talking
meet.
about more houses, more cars, so it still comes to the same parking. It all comes to the same situation, no space, children cannot play outside. We have to be careful about not crashing other cars. It comes to the same thing, it's not separately.
Right. Well, these lots and the streets have already been approved. It's the architecture of the houses that we're here to talk about tonight. That's what's on the agenda, the architecture of the homes. Well, your opinion does matter. It's just that this part that you're discussing was approved several years ago, like 2017, I believe. No, it's always been 28. But I'd be happy to speak with you in my office and I could bring in the Public Works Director as well. And we could talk about that. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Yes. I don't believe there is.
Have people like she was saying, there's a family there, they got 5 cars and only 2 adults are driving. And all they're doing is, it's a mess. I literally every morning have to go around cars. And even when I come home, there's kids outside and I'm really, scared I'm gonna hit because they're little ones. and they run, you know, you can't stop a kid when they start running.
Well, I can have I supervise the code enforcement officers and I can have them come out to Don Rafael and tow anything that isn't licensed.
Oh, they got them.
Get 'em off the streets.
But double park them in the middle of the road. So I got these ones parked on this side and then I got these ones parking on this side. So I'm going like this. You know,
Well, if
I'm,
there's double parked cars, call the city. I'll send the code enforcement officer out. They can't do that.
talking about that. They just, it's ridiculous. I guess nothing's gonna happen.
Right. So are we ready to make a motion on item 5.1 on?
I have a question.
Yes.
At those drawings, I'm so used to having a two-car garage, it didn't even dawn on me. Those are single-car garages?
Yes. There's single car garages, there is driveway parking, and then there is street parking as well. These are smaller houses in order to be more affordable for folks.
So maybe affordable will equate to fewer car ownership as well.
I can sympathize. I couldn't get out of my house the other day because cars were parked across my driveway. It is frustrating.
All right. That's everyone. Yes, so public comment is closed on item 5.1. And we have anyone to make a motion on the architectural site plan?
I'll make a motion. This is for item 5.1. Since we are looking at the architectural site plans, you know, the different elevations, the floor plans and such. I make a motion to go ahead and approve the site plan for the Ward Villas.
Okay, roll call, Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Dynan. And Commissioner Rubin. Okay. That is approved 5-0.
Sorry. Talk louder. That was a yes.
All right. So item 5.2 is the architecture and site plan review for Diamond Bar East.
Hello again, Chair and Commissioners. As mentioned, this is Diamond Bar East, the architectural and site plan review. It's a fairly large project. The location is at, they have Santa Fe Street on the north side there. And on the east side, we have Snedeker. The railroad tracks are at the bottom. And just off site where you can't see to the left, we have Diamond Bar West. So this project consists of the architectural and site plan review of 85 single-family residents. They're located at 4424 Santa Fe Street. So March 15th of 2015, the council approved a general plan amendment, the tentative map, and a rezone to plan development. In August 2020, McCrory Wilbur Communities and the city entered into a DA. As I mentioned before, that sets forth the responsibilities of both the city and the developer. Then McCroy Wilbur decided to sell to LGI Homes California LLC. And the two parties entered into an assumption and assignment agreement in January of 2022. What that means is that LGI Homes California took over the development agreement that McCroy Wilbur had negotiated with the city. So basically, they're assuming the responsibilities now. Here's a picture of the subdivision map, although it's a little bit distorted to try to get it up on the screen, but it is 85 lots and there's a large basin at the bottom. When the map was originally approved, it was closer to 95 lots, but the amount of lots was dropped lower in order to make the basin bigger and allow two other subdivisions to drain into this basin. And so we have less basins in the city, and it can be considered a regional basin, which entitles the applicant to some credits from the city. Here's a schematic street scene. That's a little hard to say, but you can see the varied fronts and the first story and second story, the varied colors and materials. So one of their plans is called Avila. This is the floor plan. It's 1,109 square feet. It's a primary suite, 2 other bedrooms and a great room and a 2-car garage. This is the early California elevation with the colors and the roof style and windows. As you'll see on on these plans, the sides of the houses are a little bit plain. They don't have as many windows. This won't occur on the corner ones, but this allows a little bit more privacy. So you're not looking out your window into your neighbor's window. Here's the bungalow elevation. So you can see it's got some brick on the front and a little bit different roof line. The Baker floor plan. It also has a great room and looks like a breakfast nook as well. A 2-car garage, the primary bedroom, 2 other bedrooms. It's the early California elevation of the Baker model. And the cottage elevation, which you can see the roof line was a bit different from the last one. Here's the Carmel floor plan. Sorry about the pictures. It just doesn't quite fit on these screens right. Again, a 2-car garage, a great room, and the 3 bedrooms. Here's the early California elevation. And the bungalow elevation for Carmel. Their Imperial floor plan has 1,848 square feet, quite a bit more room than the last. Again, here's the early California version of the elevation and the bungalow version. The Malibu floor plan is 1,940 square feet, and this is their 2-story model. You can see all the kind of living area, the great room, the kitchen, garage are all on the first floor, and then the bedroom spaces are all upstairs. There's 4 bedrooms up there. Here's the early California model or elevation, excuse me. And the cottage. The Stinson floor plan, it's also 2-story with 2,200 plus square feet. The early California elevation and the bungalow. Again, CEQA does not apply to an approved tentative subdivision map where you're just reviewing the architecture of the dwelling units. And the recommendation from staff is to approve the architectural and site plan review for Diamond Bar East for 85 single-family dwellings. Be happy to answer any questions you might have. Do. And just kind of as a reminder, as we go through all these different architectural and site plan reviews, many of these floor plans could be flipped like a mirror image. So that and provides even more choice.
Time on that. How about, do we have any public comment? Questions? Yes.
Yes. No?
That in, item 5.2.
Close public comment?
Close public comment then. And open up voting on item 5.2. I'll second that.
Okay, Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart, Commissioner Dynan, and Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Right, on to item 5.3, which is the architectural and site plan review for Countryside.
We're on a roll here.
Side 2.
There we go.
I stand corrected.
Okay, again, the architecture and site plan review for Countryside 2. So its location is on Claus Road. It's actually north of Kentucky and between Claus and Central Avenue. The aerial doesn't show it, but Countryside 1 that has the square, what's in the red circle, that is all built out currently. And Countryside 3 and the Enclave are actually below, between Countryside 2 and Kentucky. So this consists of the architectural review of 34 single-family residences. The actual subdivision map shows 40 lots. McCroy Wilbur originally was in on this project too, and they decided to build 6 of the lots before selling to D.R. Horton. So a little bit of background on this, the Hayes Family DA was approved, development agreement was approved by council on April 25th in 2017. McCroy Wilbur Communities assumed that DA in October 2019. And D.R. Horton is in the process of purchasing the finished lots. McCroy Wilbur did all the infrastructure for the project. That's why these lots are considered finished. Here's Countryside 2 map. On the far right, the block of 6 houses, those are the ones that are already under construction by McCroy Wilbur. Oh, I should have said, and off to the left on the top, that large lot is a basin, and we'll have a walking track around the top of it. Here's their street scene, how they foresee these houses. And they have a very unique feature. In order to minimize the prominence of the garage, they decided to put some fencing and a gate with a path that leads up to the gate, a more welcoming environment to the front door. It also allows people to sit outside and socialize with their neighbors, as well as keep eyes on the street for security reasons. So here's one of their floor plans. It does have a 2-car garage, as well as I believe this one has, they're all 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. There's 2 plans, and like I mentioned, they can be flipped. Plus, there are a number of elevations in order to make the street look more varied. They have a Spanish elevation with, I believe they're concrete tiles for the roof. They have an Italianate elevation for Plan 1576, a little bit more darker colors, a little bit different roof line. Here's their traditional elevation with some siding, different types of floor tiles, and some looks like hardy planking on the front elevation there. It's their farmhouse elevation, a little bit different roof line, a little bit different lighter colors. Here's a floor plan for 1898, a little bit larger model. Yes, yet it is, I believe still, is it 3 bedrooms? It's 4 bedrooms and 2 baths, 3 baths. Stand corrected. I'm looking at too many houses tonight. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. So this is just right for your growing family. And this one also has a Spanish elevation. You can tell by the curves around the front door entry. Also an Italianette. They're traditional with a different roof pattern. And then the farmhouse elevation. Again, the architectural site plan review is not a project pursuant to CEQA. And we recommend that you approve the architecture and site plan for 34 single-family dwellings. We do have the applicant here today. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. I also, like I mentioned, the applicant's here if you have questions for them as well. Thank you.
Are all houses 1 floor?
That is correct.
Right. We will open this up for public comment then. If anyone has any questions, would like to approach the podium.
Milburn, I'm with DR Horton. I just wanted to say thank you for having us tonight and thank you for being such a pleasure to work with Donna. It's been great to be able to be here and we're very excited to build here as well. And I just wanted to note that we have reviewed the conditions and we agree to the conditions as well. So thank you.
Just a smile.
All right, then we will close public comment and open it up for a vote on item 5.3 Countryside 2.
Move to approve the item 5.3.
I will second that.
Okay, roll call. Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart, Commissioner Dynan, and Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
Okay, that's also approved by vote.
Very much.
Right. We have a pace going now. So now item 5.4 is the, now this one's a little different. The conditional use permit for Black Diamond Event Center. This is on 6701 2nd Street here downtown.
So you're stuck with me again. Item number 5. Okay, so this is the Black Diamond Event Center, conditional use permit. This is, for those who may not recognize the address, it is the former Masonic Lodge, the hall that's been, I guess there's some offices in the back that have been used occasionally, but the hall itself has been vacant for many years. Okay, so this is located at 6701 2nd Street, and what the request of the conditional use permit is an ABC type 47 license, which is sometimes granted to projects that are a bona fide eating place. And so they wish to serve beer, wine, and distilled spirits. They hope to also have dance hall use. And their plan is to have weddings and quinceañeras and baby showers and gender reveals. And the concept is kind of unique. He would like to sell packages. So if you came in for a wedding, for example, the package, which would be one price, would include the music, it would include the decorations, it would include the catering, the catered food, maybe bottles of wine on the table. So you could adjust your packages, but so that is his concept, is to have these packages and make it easy for people to hold their celebrations. So here's the project location in the circle. Up front is Santa Fe Street, and on the right side of this building is Second Street. You can see there are some houses that surround it. Down in the lower right-hand corner, you have Antigua. You also have the cheese plant that's been closed for a bit now, and there's a funeral home there as well. You can see that there is a parking lot. Part of the parking lot belongs to the funeral home. Part of it belongs to the Masonic Hall. Staff, in determining the parking, we counted the parking spaces alongside the building that have tire blocks, and there were 12 there. And then behind the building, there's 4 more spaces with tire blocks. And then the downtown specific plan allows street parking within 800 feet of the building. So the parking requirement in the downtown specific plan is 1 or 2 spaces for every 1,000 square foot of building. And the building is 8,500 square feet, and that translates into 18 parking spaces. So the 12 and the 4 on the site is 16. There are 2 spaces actually on Santa Fe right in front of the building that meets the requirement of 18 spaces. Plus there is additional street parking that can be used within the neighborhood within that 800 feet. Oh, it's stuck. Oh, there we go. We have a rudimentary floor plan here. The space is set up for, like I said, weddings and other special events. The circles you see on the left-hand side would denote tables. The open floor space would denote the area for dancing. Restrooms, of course, the bar area for people to go get their drinks. A small lobby in front. The building is fairly old. It's going to take a lot of renovations inside. In fact, when the city had looked at it at one point, it was estimated almost $500,000 in ADA upgrades in order to be able to bring people in there. He's redoing the cabinetry and the electrical and the restrooms and really trying hard to bring everything up to code. So in order to grant any use permit, the applicant must introduce evidence in support of the application sufficient to enable the Planning Commission to find that the project will not be detrimental to the health, safety, and general welfare of the city. So the property owner intends to remodel the long vacant Masonic Hall. As I mentioned, all the upgrades that he intends to do to make this a really nice place for people to have their celebrations. They're investing time and money into creating a first-class event to celebrate life's milestones. And they wish to enhance this experience for their customers by adding beer, wine, and distilled spirits to their catering menu, as well as having a dance hall use. I should mention too that in the conditions of approval, I did add a condition that when they are having music, that they need to keep the doors closed to keep the music contained within the building and not affect the neighborhood. I was told by someone that, and I wasn't able to verify it, but I was told that Antigua has the same condition on their building. So the recommendation is to determine that the applicant has submitted sufficient evidence for you to consider, that it is categorically exempt under the CEQA notice of exemption, which this section here, 15332A through E, talks about an infill exemption. And what that means is when you look at the property, it meets A through E, which includes is an existing building on less than 5,000 square feet, and it is. Is there any way that there would be anything like a plant or an animal that's endangered that could be disturbed on the site? Well, it's been developed for many years and covered with the parking space, so it does, or parking lot. So that would not, and does it meet the zoning? It does meet the zoning. Does it meet the general plan designation? It does meet the general plan designation. The only thing that they're coming, to you for is the use permit for the alcohol and for the dance. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And Mr. Aguilar, who is the project applicant, is here today too, who could help answer some of those questions. Thank you.
The applicant, has he already purchased the building and the property?
Yes, is my understanding.
Patty corner to the Masonic Temple is the other event center.
Antigua, yes.
Already weddings and funerals and whatever else kind of events are already being.
Happening in that area? Yes, sir. Correct.
Thank you.
I've been to events at the one that's catty corner. I believe they have a liquor license and
Yes, they do. Mhm.
everything that they're asking for across the street. Thank you. Right,
Public comment?
at this time, we will open it up for public comment, and it looks like we also have some signatures that have been provided to us as well, if you want to
Thank you for
Would you
that
like to
reminder.
explain
Yes.
that.
At 3:58 today, staff did receive a petition from the neighborhood. They have some concerns about, they feel that the use would be unsafe for the skate park, which is nearby. They believe it's too close to the funeral home and too close to a church. Our code does not address that. It does not put distances between those uses like we do for tattoos or for cannabis dispensaries. They feel there are too many liquor licenses in the downtown, and they don't believe there'll be enough parking, is the gist of the petition.
And sorry, I'm gonna ask a question. It's going to be like an event center where they're not open for regular business hours, where there's gonna be a constant parking issue, right? Like it might be on a Saturday, there's a baby shower or a wedding occasionally.
Correct. My understanding is it's possible to have an event any day of the week. They won't, their hours of operation will be between 2 in the afternoon. And in the case of, say, a wedding or quinceanera, it may be open till 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know exactly if, when they're holding an event, if anyone else would be allowed in at the time, but the applicant is here and could answer that question for us.
Certainly any noise restrictions that the city already has applied to this as if it was a private residence too.
That's correct. That's correct. If they had their doors open and the music was loud and somebody called, both the police department and our code enforcement officers have instruments to measure noise levels from the property line.
Now, I wonder if they wanted to have, say, 200 guests, would that be something that would be okay? Or is there a limit to the number of people that they can have? Or if they wanted to have more, do they have to get a specific permit or something for that?
Well, the applicant is feeling like he can serve 350 people. But what it comes down to is when it's time for the business license, both the building inspector and the fire department inspector will come out to the site. And it will be the fire department that will assign the number of people that is maximum for the site. They may get there and say, because it's 8,500 square feet, we'll only allow 200 people or 300 people. But that will be the fire department's decision.
Thank you.
public comment. Does anyone have any questions or? Step up to the podium.
My name's Rosa Madrano. I really didn't come in to hear this part of it, but I have a question. Doesn't Riverbank have an ordinance where there's no dancing allowed? Or did they amend that?
That was an older code.
Yes, when they had
No
the,
longer
when they,
have that.
when they had the dance hall. But I thought that that was the law because I remember when they tried to open up the Del Rio as a restaurant, and they wanted to have dancing there and they wouldn't let them because they said that Riverbank had a no dancing.
In the downtown specific plan, it allows dances in certain areas, certain zoning designations with the, once they obtain a conditional use permit, which is why we're here tonight.
Okay. You were asking about amount of people that could be allowed into the building. There's a lot of building codes. I don't know if it's here in Riverbank, but I noticed in other places that the capacity for how many people are allowed into a building, like I went to not very long ago, it was 84. Would they have that there for, the capacity of a certain amount of people that were allowed into a building?
Yes, that determination will be made by the fire department.
So that would be determined before they would allow him to open up this business.
Correct, before they
Okay.
would issue the business license.
Okay, so I won't be kidded about people coming to me and saying, oh, you live in Riverbank? There's no dancing allowed there. It's, people still think that. So I can tell them, no, you can dance anywhere you want.
Dance in the sunshine.
It was a wonderful movie, though. It was a wonderful movie.
There was a wonderful movie.
Town that wouldn't allow dancing, yes.
Yes, but
Of
the
course.
reason that this was another rumor that I was told why they didn't allow dancing is because at the mayor and one of the city council people had children that were girls, and they had that country western place here in Riverbank, and they didn't want their girls to go there, so that's why they. But I think it was just because they were a rowdy bunch, and they had too many police officers down there all the time when they had but it was nice music because I enjoyed it. I remember I was just a little kid. And I remember, and people say, did you go there? And I go, no, I was too young.
Certainly.
Alex? This is Mr. Alex Aguilar.
Friday. Have you any concept of the demand that you're gonna fill? Is this gonna be like every day you're gonna have an event going on, or once a week? Or
We anticipate our events to happen mostly on Friday, Saturday, and occasionally on Sundays. Sundays will probably be the gender reveal parties, that kind of thing. Saturdays, of course, is weddings and quinceañeras. And Fridays, we are shooting for corporate events for companies that want to have their meetings at our venue.
gender reveal, is this like showing off the new baby?
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Thank
new
you.
thing, but it's.
I was thinking something else with that.
Something to celebrate.
Thank you.
No, what happens, girl is pregnant and she wants everybody to know what the baby is gonna be, and they do these parties. We want to accommodate for that.
Thank you.
Imagine this building was originally built to do something similar. It was just privately or
It-
for the organization. So it has full kitchen and all
Exactly.
that's already there, stage. type thing.
Do you have anything to add that I might have forgotten in my presentation?
No, actually, you explain everything very well. That's exactly what we envision. Just to mention that we plan to do our venue on a mid to high end category. We don't have too many venues around here that, will look like the one we're building or we plan to build. So it's gonna be a mid to upscale venue.
When will the building be ready for occasion? Or
When?
When?
Well, right now we got the architect finalizing the drawings. We're bringing in a structural engineer on board. That should be happening this week. And after that is a couple of revisions and we'll submit the plans to the city for building approval.
Be ready by September?
We're hoping,
Okay,
we're hoping, we'll do our best.
thank you.
Gonna be our first customer.
I'll come look.
Okay.
it's ready.
Be all the questions. Thank you, sir. So that will close public comment. And on to, oh, open public comment.
That better? That better? Okay. The Masonic Lodge was originally built as a calendar building in 1912. It had a dry goods store on the bottom, with some of the offices. Railroad used them, and they could get their hot meals there when they weren't working. The Masonic Lodge started in 1915. It's part of our history. It's been there a long time down there. When the notices went out, they only went out to property owners. A lot of the renters and tenants down there in the neighborhood in that part of town did not get noticed about this. Or they said the location is close to the skate park, the church, also the funeral home. Right on the other side of Second Street, there's a little telephone building, and on the other side is senior housing. And you've got the event center across the street. And then you got our neighborhood. Now, our neighborhood is zoned downtown. It's downtown neighborhood. It's not mixed use. And if you look on in the specific plan on the parking section, where it'll files with the parking, it's got section there, long-term, short on the term time. The third term is the one that would apply to this one because it's supposed to be a restaurant. And that term there, this, what can park there, as far as who could, Downtown General and all of those commercial ones, that applies to them as far as sharing the parking. Downtown neighborhood is not in that list and they're not part of that. The original for Downtown Pacific plan was supposed to be a pedestrian type thing, not one bringing all these cars and stuff in. And our neighborhood was protected. The existing neighborhoods in the Pacific plan were protected. So they cannot park there. Otherwise, with 365 people, plus 350 plus 15 employees, and only 18 parking spaces, that's a lot of spaces to look for people to be looking for. A lot of spaces. And you've got the other event center going. You've got the church. You got the funeral home. And eventually, I'm sure somebody's going to start doing something with the cheese place across the way. But that is a lot of parking spaces there that we should not have to be impacted with. There, I know they have plans for the bar upstairs, the bar downstairs, and they have the dance hall. And it said in the staff report about hours being until 1 a.m. unless there was an event, and then there'd be less. Now, does that mean if there's not an event, they're going to run this as a bar and a dance and the dance hall thing on its own? When there's no events there, is it going to be shut down when there's no event? Or is it going to be dance hall and bar? They didn't, when they did that, when they put in their application, they asked for the use permit for alcohol license. They didn't ask for one for the hall. And there's no information there about the dance hall, how it's gonna work or what. The alcohol license, type 47 that they're asking. That license authorizes them the sale of beer, wine, and spirits for consumption on the premises. It also authorizes sale of beer and wine for consumption off the premises. That mean like out in the alley, somebody can buy it and go out there. It also says that they must operate and maintain it as a bona fide eating place. They have to have suitable kitchen facilities and must make actual and substantial sales of meals for consumption, which means they have it. And they, I think in your camp report referred to something like Kuhan Leaks. I saw in there, it has to have a restaurant, they have to sell food, they have to have a menu. That's not in their plans. The downtown Pacific plan, when it came out, had, and the county district, it was residential, it was a PD, residential, commercial, and the destination amusement area, entertainment area out there, 10 acres of it. It's never been rezoned. It's still that, it still has that zoning. Something this size, that's probably where it was better fit than down here where it's going to impact so many different people. Back in several years ago, 2005, somewhere back in there, somebody else tried to put a bar in here. And it was a restaurant, they called it, where the church is now. And the council denied it. They said it was, did not meet public convenience and or the necessity standards. And there was too many alcohol licenses, and there's a lot more now. A lot more alcohol licenses down here now. But with the capacity of 365 people coming in and out of there, especially going out and going by that state park, going down our alley, using our street, looking for parking, is not the right place for it. And that's why so many people signed out petition. Nobody said no. So we're all asking you to please deny it.
That it for public comments. Anyone else? So we will now close public comment and open item 5.4 for vote. I'll make a motion to approve it. Item 5.4.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote. Chair Link,
Yes.
Vice Chair Basso,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart, Commissioner Dynan,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
It's approved 5-0.
Item number 6. I think it is exciting, all of the choices of new home options that people have. Looks like an assortment of price ranges and it's quite a boom in some housing that's really needed. There's all of it's infill, everything's going to bring in extra infrastructure, turning them into nice neighborhoods where there were fields of weeds, and that's something to be proud of the next year ahead while they fill in all these neighborhoods. Pretty exciting.
I thought it was interesting. They called those, I've always heard them called like a half plex. It's like a duplex. But when they sell them individually at the assessor's office, we call them half plexes. So to call it a duet, I thought that was cute.
Is there a way distinction between a duet and a duplex?
I think that the person who buys a duplex owns both sides, where a duet, you only have to buy half. And so, but it would be interesting to be next door to your sister or put the kids next door. Adult kids, I meant, I didn't mean little kids. But it makes me think of like in San Francisco, when you have the houses all together in a row like that, row houses. Only these will have some extra green space around them. I think, yeah, I thought too, when they first brought the project in, that it was a nice concept and something new and interesting for the city. And who knows, if they sell out quickly, maybe he'll do another project of them. Yeah, they're hoping to keep it in the 300 to 350,000 range.
Builder built that concept elsewhere.
I believe so. He's actually done a lot of building in the Central Valley from, I think, all the way down to Merced, Livingston, Turlock. I don't think he's gone as far north as like Manteca or Stockton, but a lot of housing in Ripon and Riverbank.
Purposes. Traffic on Clarabelle and Roselle is getting insane.
Well, it's going to go away. When the North County corridor comes in, it's going to become a frontage road.
Item number 7.
I have one.
Have some
You're always
corres-
asking me. We
have a letter to read us.
We have a referral. It's actually a workshop for proposed fees that the county is doing. It's at the Stanislaus County Agricultural Center at Harvest Hall on 3800 Cornucopia Way in Modesto. It's this Thursday, March 23rd from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And also they'll have another one from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So they're going to discuss proposed and new and amended or elimination of existing fees to the Stanislaus County Master Schedule of Fees for the Department of Environmental Resources. So that affects a lot of people, whether it's restaurants or a daycare center, a lot of rules, regulations, and fees. And so also included underground storage tank program, body art, recreational health, well construction. That department really does touch a lot of different topics in our various cities. And so if a person is paying those type of fees now, they might want to attend this and give their 2 cents worth to hopefully lower the fees or waive fees for them. So again, that's Thursday, March 23rd at the Stan County Agricultural Center on Cornucopia Way. But they can call City Hall if you forget that information. I can share it.
Thank you for that. So on to staff comments.
Staff comments is we will not be having an April Planning Commission meeting. Donna will have left the house. I've got a 3-week vacation scheduled, so that's why this has kind of been a heavy load for you, and May might be kind of heavy too, depending on what there is that comes in while I'm gone. But you're off the hook for April. So in May, when we do have a planning commission meeting, we'll have the new seating arrangements. So, thank you.
Donna?
Thank you very much. Going to New Zealand. Well, I've thought about that. What happens when I get over there? But I've got a short visa to travel there, so I'm sure they'll kick me out.
Right, so item 9 is the adjournment of our planning commission meeting this evening.
Well done, Steve.
Thank you very much.
my guy.